He was walking down the busy city street, lost in his thoughts. The smell of fast food filled the air, but something else caught his attention. A small child sat alone on the cold pavement, shivering, clutching an empty paper bag. People passed by, pretending not to notice, their faces blank, indifferent. Then he stepped forward, and what the child whispered changed everything. It was a gray, chilly afternoon when David left his office, tired from another long day. The city streets buzzed with people rushing to their destinations, cars honking, and the occasional siren wailing in the distance. But amidst all this chaos, his mind was elsewhere. Thoughts of unpaid bills, mounting work stress, and the endless to-do list weighed heavily on him. Life often felt like a blur of obligations, and he wondered if he was making any real difference at all. As he walked past the corner of 5th and Main, something caught his eye. A small figure sat hunched over on the pavement, knees tucked to his chest. He was no more than 7 or 8, wearing a worn-out jacket that barely protected him from the cold. His shoes were torn, and his hands were red from the biting wind. David slowed down, feeling a tug in his chest he couldn't ignore. Most people passed by without a glance, pretending he didn't exist. Some looked away, some stepped over him, and some whispered to each other about how sad or what a shame. But David stopped. He noticed the child's eyes, big, wide, and strangely alert, reflecting a mix of fear, loneliness, and something deeper, almost adult-like. David had always tried to help when he could, but the world often made him feel small and powerless. He had given money to shelters before, donated to charities, and yet seeing a child in this vulnerable state right here on the street felt different. It wasn't about numbers or donations. It was personal. This child didn't have a choice. He had no one to run home to, no one to hug him after a rough day. David reached into his pocket and pulled out his wallet. He considered buying some hot food from the nearby diner. A small gesture, but perhaps it could bring warmth to this lonely little soul. As he approached, the child looked up, startled, eyes searching David's face with a mix of curiosity and caution. "Hey there," David said gently, kneeling down to meet the boy's gaze. "Are you hungry?" The boy nodded, but didn't say a word. There was a quiet dignity in his silence, a sense that he had learned early in life to speak only when necessary. David handed him the small bag of food, watching as the boy's hands trembled slightly as he accepted it. For a moment, there was just silence between them, the sounds of the city fading into the background. David didn't expect anything more. He thought he was just offering a meal, a small gesture in a world that often overlooked people like this child. But life, as he was about to learn, has a way of surprising us when we least expect it. As the boy unwrapped the food, David noticed how careful he was, savoring each bite as if it were a feast, yet barely touching the edges of the paper bag. The city moved on around them, people brushing past without a second glance. Some even scowled at the sight, muttering about panhandlers or kids who should be in school. It stung David's heart to see the indifference, the coldness of the world toward someone so young and defenseless. The child, named Liam, eventually spoke. His voice was soft, almost fragile. "Thank you," he whispered. "Most people just ignore me or tell me to go away." David's throat tightened. The words hit him harder than he expected. In his world of busy schedules and endless emails, he had never truly realized how lonely and ignored some people felt, especially children who should have been safe and cared for. As he talked with Liam, he learned about the child's life. His parents had left when he was very young. The shelters were often full, and kind strangers were rare. Sometimes he went entire days without a proper meal. Other times, he had to fend for himself on streets that didn't feel safe. The harsh reality of Liam's existence sank in, and David felt a mix of anger, sadness, and helplessness. He wanted to do more, but the city seemed too vast, too overwhelming. How could one person make a difference in a world so indifferent? David felt the weight of society's neglect pressing down on him. Even as he offered kindness, he saw the larger problem. So many children like Liam, invisible and voiceless, struggling day after day. For a moment, despair threatened to take over. He could walk away and return to his routine, leaving Liam to the world's cruelty. Or he could stay, risking his own comfort to provide more help, to maybe become a small part of this boy's life. The choice seemed impossible, yet David knew he couldn't ignore the look in Liam's eyes, the silent plea for someone to care, for someone to believe in him. David made a decision. He took Liam by the hand and led him to a small, warm diner nearby. "Let's get you something to eat properly," he said. Liam hesitated but followed, the sparkle of hope flickering in his eyes. As they sat down, the child's face lit up with a mixture of gratitude and disbelief. Over burgers and hot chocolate, David listened as Liam shared stories of his small victories and daily struggles. He spoke of the rare moments of kindness he had experienced, each one treasured like a hidden gem. David realized that while he couldn't fix everything, he could make a difference here and now. After their meal, David handed Liam a small notebook and a pen. "Write down your dreams," he said. "Anything you want. Keep it safe." The boy's eyes widened. "Dreams?" he asked, as if the word itself was foreign to him. "Yes," David replied, smiling. "You deserve to dream. You deserve hope." As Liam wrote, he paused and looked up. "Thank you for believing in me," he whispered. In that moment, David felt something shift inside him. He understood that even small acts of kindness could ripple through someone's life in ways he couldn't measure. The world might be harsh and uncaring, but hope, however fragile, could still survive, and sometimes it came from a stranger's heart. David walked away that day with a renewed sense of purpose. He couldn't save every child, but he could be the person who showed up, who cared, who made one life a little brighter. And for Liam, that meal, that attention, that belief in him, it wasn't just food. It was the first spark of hope he had felt in a long time. Kindness isn't always grand. It's often small, quiet, and simple. A meal, a listening ear, a moment of care. It can change someone's world. We may never know the full impact of our actions, but they matter. Even in a cold, indifferent world, hope survives through acts of compassion. And sometimes the smallest gestures leave the biggest marks on a heart.